Everybody, welcome back to class. Okay, today I'm throwing a couple different topics at you. This video is going to be about the space race, which really heats up during the 1950s. Now, after World War II, you have the situation where the United States and the Soviet Union are kind of deadlocked in this Cold War, and both sides are scared of the other side and want to have the best weapons and technology. That's true in most conflicts, that during times of conflict, it's a catalyst, it's a boom in technology because both sides want to have the best weapons, best technology to defeat their enemies on the battlefield. Now, in World War II, the Nazis were the enemy, and actually, the Nazis had some of the best, if not maybe the best, corps of scientists in the world. It would probably, really, the United States, Russia, and Nazi Germany, or Germany even without the Nazis, were countries that were known for their science and technology. Now, the Nazis were trying to develop an atomic bomb, but we did a few secret missions where we went and sabotaged their heavy water facilities. So thankfully, they were never able to do that. But throughout the war, right up to the very end, the Nazis were developing rocket technology. So when Nazi Germany collapses, both the Soviet Union and America go in and try to gobble up as many of their best scientists as possible and win them over and take them back to the respective countries, either Russia or America, to have these Nazi scientists work for us. So actually, this guy, Wernher von Braun, who was the top rocket engineer in Nazi Germany, he comes over and is going to be one of the first head ups of NASA. Now, atomic weapons at the end of World War II, and by the time you hit the 1950s, both the United States and Soviet Union have ever increasingly more powerful nuclear weapons. Both sides are nuclear armed, dropping them in the old school way or delivering them with like an old bomber plane, not super efficient for the modern world. And both sides try to create the best rockets they possibly can. So now you have nuclear missiles that are going to be much more lethal than the old school style bombs that were used at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Anyway, a couple things that I want you to like jot down for this would be, I want you to know that Sputnik, okay, that was the first satellite that was launched into space, and the Russians did that, shot it up there in the late 1950s. I think it was 1957 when Sputnik got launched. That really freaks out Americans. That's something that I would make a note of, and that really kind of starts the space race, because we're worried. It actually was a communication satellite, but at the time we didn't know what it was, and we thought it might have been some system of like dropping nuclear bombs or firing rockets at us. So America, that really lights a fire under us, and we want to be number one in the space race and defeat the Russians there on that final frontier. So shortly after that, we developed NASA. NASA becomes a federal organization, or it's kind of a branch of the military, in 1958. So I would add that into your notes too. 1958, NASA is created, and it's kind of a reaction to the Russians launching Sputnik in 1957. And that kind of begins the space race, and each side develops better and better rockets and space technology. And while you're watching the other video that I have attached today, I'd recommend having your Cold War era notes out. And anytime you see something that seems really crucial or important, I jot some of those key points down into your notes, because we will probably, I'm going to come back to this, because the space race isn't something that just happens in the late 1950s. It really goes on really until modern day. So I'll be revisiting this topic several times throughout Q4. Anyway, if you got Sputnik and NASA both created for now, that's a good starting point. And then I hope you enjoy the short 5-minute video I included about the early days of the space race in the late 1950s and 1960s. Some good info there, and I think it's entertaining.